Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Bangers Bricks. Once more, we're going to take a bit of a risk and try a company other than the usual. This time it's Craftbrickworks. They do have a website, or you can buy some of their sets from Amazon. This one I bought directly from their website. So let's start. So this set is made by Craftbrickworks. It is the Mechanical War Steed, set number 13088. It has 1055 pieces. There are no stickers, but plenty of prints. Unsurprisingly, no characters. It has 2 lights and a motor. It comes with one printed manual and cost me £60 or $81. Now, this was direct from their website. This was not sponsored. I did buy this myself. You can buy this for cheaper if you don't want the lights and the motor. And then it just works with the hand crank with no lights, which would be $10 cheaper. I got this with a 10% off code, which you get for signing up for their newsletter on their website. So here we go with the model, and we'll start with all the lights off, showing everything that's on here, and then try the lights and the motor. So starting up here at the head, you can see again the prints do look wonderful. Again, I think some of these are definitely bespoke pieces, but the color of them looks amazing, and yeah, the detail. Love, I said, the prints on there. And then we've got this piping detail going back down for the main. I think looks lovely. Again, we'll see with the lights on quite how that looks. There's lots of extra detail here. Some of these cogs don't actually move. They're just part of the detail. But I think it's really nice, giving almost a kind of cyber steampunky, almost, kind of look to the horse. Then across the body again and down the legs, lots of these prints on these parts. I think look really good. You can see obviously some of the mechanism here for the moving. One small thing that I'm not a big fan of is how the lights are integrated. So you can see these cables here coming up from the light pack to go up here to the cables. They just kind of sit here. I've tried to push them out of the way a bit so they don't get caught up in any of the mechanisms, but I'd have thought there'd be a better way to integrate them into the set. Small negative point, but I think worth bringing up. Also, that one of the cables seemed to be just a little bit too short, and so did cause some issues connecting it up for the light on the opposite side of the horse. So looking around again, we've got more of these details that don't necessarily move. And then we've got the tail at the back. At the bottom here, then you can see both, this is where the lights come from, and obviously this is where the motor is. Again, slight negative, but this, not wire, but flexible bit that goes around here doesn't quite fit into where it should do, because that's where the motor is. Also, the motor is a rather garish colour against the rest of the aesthetic of the horse. So a bit of a shame, but you don't have to have the motor if you don't want. Obviously, it comes separately. It is rechargeable. There is a USB-C to recharge it. So that's very good. And then the other side is basically just the same as the first. So we have an amazing, again, tail here with these translucent pieces, which looks great. You have the hand crank just down here if you don't have the motor. But yeah, it looks lovely. Stood on this kind of base made of toothed rings. Again, these don't move at all. But again, just trying to give that mechanical look to the horse. So first of all, let me turn on the lights. You can see here, and I will show what this looks like in the dark. But I think these are lovely. There's only really 2 lights, just here and here. And then it goes up through this piping, which is just a pipe which just kind of carries the light. But what's really nice is the fact that even though they're not connected, it does look like the light's coming out of the main. Again, one thing that would have been really cool is instead of just having these two lights, something similar could have been done for the tail. And I think that really would have looked amazing. But, considering that the motor and the lights together cost only $10, then I think this is absolutely fantastic. And I do think adds quite nicely to the set. So I think the movement on this horse is incredible. The legs all move fantastically, slightly out of sync as it should be. But what's really nice is the way that everything moves. It's not just the legs doing it by themselves. The head, obviously, and neck bounces up and down, and the body piece also moves up and down in rhythm with the running. Just incredible. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. You can run backwards, but that looks a bit ridiculous. So it's mainly just running forwards. The noise of the motor is very loud, to be perfectly honest, but I still think it just looks amazing. And I could watch this horse just running for ages. It is so well done. I mean, I think it's a fantastic statement piece just on the wall, well, against the wall as it is. But yeah, when it actually runs properly, then I think it just looks amazing and shows quite what you can do with Lego. So obviously there are pieces on here that I think probably are unique to this set. So you can see some pieces here which I certainly don't recognise, and some of the other ones do look a bit bespoke, but for the most part I think that this is normal pieces. Um, Now, it is a very complex set to build, which would be possibly the last of the downsides here. It was difficult. There's no getting around it. It was incredibly difficult. But unlike the Cuckoo clock, I found it more satisfying to build than that one. Yes, I did make mistakes, but I soon rectified them and fixed them. And I think the end result is just so much better. Um, there weren't any missing pieces. We thought there were at a couple of points, but that was more down to the fact that we'd used the wrong parts, so we had to swap them out. So there may be some, once again, as always with any of my builds, some slightly mismatched colours. But overall, yeah, I think it's great. Do take your time with it. Be patient because it can take a while. You can't just download the digital instructions from the website, which is a shame, but you can request them if you bought it directly from them. So here is the manual itself, and it's perfectly functional. My issue does come from the angle on some of these pictures. It is taken kind of a forced perspective look and isn't always the best at showing precisely where some of the pieces need to go. As some of the pieces are very finicky, then yeah, it can be difficult to work it out, and I absolutely did make mistakes. It's good that they've got things like this showing, precisely the different pieces, but they don't always have that, and so mistakes can easily be made with this. But again, you get to find them out quite easily afterwards. The set did come in separate bags, which was good, and each of the steps, so the 4 different steps, came within 4 different bags. So you'd have a bag full of bags. Again, not the best for the environment. I know some other people that have done this too, but it does a bit of a godsend when trying to work out what bags you need for any part of the build. So yeah, I would recommend getting the digital instructions if you can, because it is easier to zoom in and have a look. Um, I think they probably should make this a little bit bigger, just because the complexity of this set does mean that, yeah, it would benefit from being a bigger format, and possibly also showing multiple angles on some of the steps, just because of the complexity with that. But overall, I think the end result easily outweighs any of these small issues. So as you might have guessed from this review, I love this set. I think the detail is amazing. I think it is beautiful. I think it is so well done. I love the gold. The Just the theming of it looks amazing. The way they've done certain things, like the main, absolutely wonderful. As I said, is it perfect? No, no, it isn't. And certainly, the build process is not something that I would expect someone who's a novice to this to do, or a younger child, because it is fiddly and it is complex, and the instructions perhaps aren't as clear as they should be. But I think the end result is so worth it. I would absolutely go with this. I just think it's amazing, and definitely I will be looking at other sets from this company, because I think what they're doing here is so different and so interesting, and it was incredibly good value as well, especially as it includes both the motor and the lights. Yeah, incredible value. So yeah, we will be looking at more of these sets in the future, and there are definitely some very interesting ones there. So yeah, I would 100%, without reservation, recommend it if you are a skilled builder, an experienced builder. Otherwise, best to get somebody to do it with you. But yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to help the channel, then please do consider liking and subscribing. But I look forward to seeing you next week.